Kada? Kada je to bilo?
Jedno 4-5 godina, šta znam, možda 6.
Poznali sam je to bilo. Evo, da ide, ali ćeš vaš. Ne znamo kako je harmonija. Tako da će noći.
Samo jedan.
Da, ali nije, a harmonija nije naštivana. Kako je naštivana harmonija? Da, mi moramo prema ovom.
Ja ti bravo,
Gdje ste? Razvoj.
Dovijek plava danas.
Da, neću biti sa strane. Ja mogu prati s kolegicu malo dodati.
Okej.
Ako ne znam, kako god.
Da, može.
Meni je ovo pravi A ili je više niže?
ja ne znam. Ponegdje tu kjeda, ne tako.
To si visok. Ja ne mogu nižu, ovo je malo mislim.
Tu mi pokazuje
ali moj sin ne želi sjediti tu, ne mora sjediti s njim tamo. On će sve raditi.
A, on će tamo? Voli vas baš.
Nisam da štimu, bila ko. Ona, kršte.
Ma možda se biti da.
Stereo? Stereo?
Da.
Ja ću ići kraj njega.
Aha, okej.
A možda ti tamo.
Ne doći tamo. Gdje je to prebacio?
Ćeš doći tu da dođemo bliže muzičarima da se lakše čujemo, evo. Ajde, dođi. Imamo saksofon.
Tam ima dalje lice da čuje se.
Ne.
Kaj se čudim tam da uče. Mene ste školu isto štima. Ne da tu uče.
Dobar gram Blanko.
Ne.
Čekaj, sam videl Džanem, pa Harin vruči, da se neki pripravlja to zdaj na vršu.
Nisam toliko dobro. Ne mogu da mikrofon. Ne radi dobro s objavom.
Ja čujem da ti bolje svjesno, tako bolje da stavim.
Ne volite sviru nikako bolje da ti.
A to će neko karatelja svirat, neko će pjevat. Će neko pjevat ovdje?
Ne.
Onda tako nas je. Ja hoću malo njega slušati.
Si dobio A? Malo digni.
A ne mogu bi otići s vastom nikako. Nemam ni tilak, ništa. Da, ovako.
Samo svijet. Kad sam nešto.
Za božanstvo, za zadovoljstvo, pančatatve.
Tu što više tamo. Ja tebe mogu da vidim.
Kar pred.
Ovo je vidiš moja tamo.
Osam pala za njemu.
Ja pa se pala za njim.
Ne znam što se znači već.
Ja bom več pismo.
To znači...
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Krishna Krishnaya Saraswati Gauravani Pracharine Shesha Shunyavade Ashtakyade Ona će beko kale.
Aha, okej. Ili jedan potom.
Hare
Хочеш пані Слава? Германія.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krišna. Vsi skupaj lepo pozdravljeni na današnjem nedeljskem srečanju. En velik haribol za Džagat Prasuprabhuja in glasbeno ekipo. Hvala za čudovite bađanje. Sedaj ste pa vsi skupaj vabljeni na naslednjo točko in to je predavanje. Predavanje bo imel naš lokalni duhovni učitelj in GBC, Prahladananda Swami Maharaj. Harivo! Dear Maharaj, please, you're welcome. Naslov predavanja je pa Zadovoljstvo in ekstaza. Če kdo potrebuje prevod iz angleščine v slovenščino, somebody need translation? No, to za vas ni, no. Lecture will be in English. So it's okay.
You're the translator?
Cheese. Go to
Guru Sanananda. Guru Chandrananda. Guru Chandrananda. Chandanana. Let me know if I'm speaking too quickly.
Yes.
Yeah. I guess we'll. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopidana Balava Girivardhari Gopidana Balava Girivardhari Yasodanana Vrajajanarajana Yasodanana Vrajajanarajana Yamulakiya Vanacharya Yamulakiya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopidana Balava Girivardhari Gopidana Balava Girivardhari Yasodanana Vrajajanarajana Yasodanana Vrajajanarajana Yamulakiya Vanacharya Yamulakiya Vanacharya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahangsa Bhagavadakacharya Asadhara Satushi Shiman His Divine Grace Shalasi Bhaktivedanta Swami Raj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Gaur Premanande Slava Zabrani Bhakta Slava Shri Guru Shri Gaurangi Om Agyana Timanandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakshur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Pandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagradatam Sahagana Raganatam Vidham Tam Sajivam Sarvaitam Sabadutam Vrajana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shiva Sakans Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karna Sindho Dinabandho Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchena Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishubhana Sutta Devi Ranamami Hari Priye Vanchakapa Tuvyasya Kripa Sindhuvyevacha Patidanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Pranityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya What happened to our stand? It disappeared. It renounced its service. So I'm going to read from the Bhagavad Gita as it is, actually 2 verses, but I'm only going to read one. This verse is going to be, the one I'm going to read is chapter 10, Opulence of the Absolute. And the verse I'll read from that chapter is text number 10. These are known as the Chatur Sloki verses. Although there's other verses which are called the Pratibhasha Sutra, and there's a verse which is the essence of all the Vedas. So there's a lot of important verses in Bhagavad Gita. This is one of them. This is the 3rd verse of the Chatur Sloki Bhagavad Gita, which has the whole philosophy contained within it. Chapter 10, verse number 10. I think probably the transliteration would probably be more suitable than the Sanskrit for most of us. You move it up so you can see the transliteration. Well, you've just gone completely beyond the transliteration. The translation, I'll read the transliteration. Te sham sadatam yuktanam bhajantam pratipurvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayanti te. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Purport. In this verse, the word Buddhi Yogam is very significant. We may remember that in the 2nd chapter, the Lord instructing Arjuna said that He had spoken to him of many things, that He would instruct him in the way of Buddhi Yoga. Now Buddhi Yoga is explained. Buddhi Yoga itself is action in Krishna consciousness. That is the highest intelligence. Buddhi means intelligence, and yoga means mystic activities or mystic elevation. When one tries to go back home, back to Godhead, and takes fully to Krishna consciousness and devotional service, his action is called Buddha Yoga. In other words, Buddha Yoga is the process by which one gets out of the entanglement of this material world. The ultimate goal of progress is Krishna. People do not know this, therefore the association of devotees and a bona fide spiritual master are important. Once you know that the goal is Krishna, and when the goal is assigned, then the path is slowly but progressively transversed, and the ultimate goal is achieved. When a person knows that the goal of life, when a person knows the goal of life, but is addicted to the fruits of activities, he is acting in karma yoga. When he knows that the goal is Krishna, but he takes pleasure in mental speculations to understand Krishna, he is acting in jnana yoga. And when he knows the goal and seeks Krishna completely in Krishna consciousness and devotional service, he is acting in bhakti yoga or Buddha yoga, which is the complete yoga. This complete yoga is the highest perfectional stage of life. A person may have a bona fide spiritual master and be attached to a spiritual organization, but if he's not intelligent enough to make progress, then Krishna from within gives him instructions so he may ultimately come to him without difficulty. The qualification is that a person always engage himself in Krishna consciousness and with love and devotion render all kinds of services. He should perform some sort of work for Krishna, and that work should be with love. If a devotee is not intelligent enough to make progress on the path of self-realization, but is sincere and devoted to the activities of devotional service, the Lord gives him a chance to make progress and ultimately attain to him. I'm just going to read one verse back, at least the translation in the Sanskrit. This is the second of the Chaturasloki verses. Matshita machkata prana bodhyantash parashparam katayantashamam nityam tushanti charamanti cha. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me, their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswatam Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shrunavadi Paskyadyade Sadarane. To summarize these four verses, Chaturasloki verses, the first one, Krishna says he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the source of all material and spiritual opulences, all beauty, all strength, all fame, all wealth, all knowledge, and all renunciation. Everything and everyone we find attractive, we can find their origin within Krishna. So the aim of the Hare Krishna movement is to meet Krishna, to get to know the Supreme Person, and come back to our original relationship with Him, which is by nature overwhelmingly loving. And devotional service is under Srimati Radharani, who is overwhelmed by Krishna's unlimited opulences, overwhelmed with devotion and love. And therefore she's, as it says in Nectar of Devotion, she's the inspiration for all devotional service in Vrindavan, because of her unlimited, unequaled devotion, appreciation, and love for Krishna. Therefore, if one can somehow or another contact Srimati Radharani through devotional service, then even by associating with her, observing and experiencing her devotion and love, then one will become overwhelmingly attracted and appreciative of Krishna also. So in order to do that, this verse says that we have to engage two things in Krishna's service, which is called devotional service. One of them is our activities, and the other is our consciousness. Consciousness and activities are all under the ability to utilize our intelligence and mind in Krishna's service. As Prabhupada writes in the Bhagavad Gita, we actually don't work with our body, we're actually working with our mind and intelligence. Therefore, Krishna advises in this particular verse, we have two words here. One is called chitta, our consciousness, and the other is prana, our energy. That we should engage our energy in following Krishna as Prabhupada will write in the other purport, according to the directions of the spiritual master. And the other is consciousness. That is, we have to become conscious of Krishna while we're engaged in service. So they're both directions are obtained by hearing about how to utilize our prana, our energy in Krishna's service, and how to utilize our consciousness in Krishna's service. Now the result of using our consciousness in Krishna's service and our energies in Krishna's service will depend upon two things. Well, it depends upon what our present consciousness is, where it is, and what we're expecting from devotional service, what our desire is. Krishna says 4 kinds of pious people approach him. Chatura vida bhajante mam janasukritina arjuna arta jignasya artarati jnani charbharatarshava. 4 kinds of pious people approach him. Those who are in distress, those who want some material remuneration, those who are inquisitive, and one who's searching for knowledge of the absolute truth. The first 2 are called karma yogis. That is, they're in distress, and after the distress is taken away to some degree, then they want to know how to obtain material comfort. Material comfort ultimately is realized that material comfort is not just having a nice soft bed to lie down on, or even to have, as it says in Spanish, barriga llena, corazón contento. When the belly's full, the heart is satisfied. But that is part of a process of becoming satisfied, getting our material desires fulfilled. First, we're in distress. Distress is generally due to not following the principles, regular principles properly. And therefore the body will give us distress, our mind will give us distress, other people will give us distress. And when one starts to chant Hare Krishna and follow the principles of devotional service, then to some degree or another the distress goes away. The very distress that we ourselves are causing by our not understanding how to live in the material world in harmony with material energy. And then naturally we want to have a nice life. Everyone wants a nice, peaceful, happy life. No one came to the material world looking for problems, although problems have followed us wherever we've gone. Then after the problems are solved, more or less, and we have a nice life, then it gets boring. What's more? There is something more. So then one studies the Vedas and finds out there's a heavenly planet. And there, not only life is nice, but it's much longer than here. And there, the ladies are not only submissive, but they're actually more attractive. Not only the men more opulent and stronger, but they're actually kinder and more caring. So one thinks, well, let me go there. I can live there for some millions of years and I'll be empowered with all kinds of mystic power and life will be good. At least it's a vacation. So then one studies the Vedas to that end and hires a priest to perform the sacrifices by which one can go to the heavenly planets and live for longer periods of time. But then even one goes to the heavenly planets, he hears about it, he reads the Bhagavatam, finds out all the problems that are going on there. One thinks, is there anything higher than this? One becomes even more inquisitive. Then he learns there's something called moksha, liberation, where you can realize you're eternal and live forever as the Supreme. I think, wow, forever is the Supreme. That's exactly what I came here for. So then one tries to study the Vedas to that end and to get liberation. But aruga krishchena param padam tada patanyana nandarita yushmarangraha. You go to Brahman and it's even more boring after some hundreds and trillions of lifetimes there, of years. And then one thinks, well, maybe I can get back for the Sunday feast or something. And then one falls from Brahman. And the whole cycle goes on, going from a sense enjoyer to a regulated karmi, to an inquisitive jnani, to a realized yogi, and then fall back again. As there's the story of Sisyphus in the Greek mythology. Sisyphus was condemned by the gods to be in a hole eternally. And he could get out of the hole if he just took a rock from the bottom of the hole and moved it out of the hole and pushed it out of the hole, and then he'd be liberated from the hole. So every time for millions of years he would be pushing the rock up the hole, and finally he was just about to push it out of the hole and would fall back again. And he'd have to start all over again. It's called patience, eternal patience. So similarly, we're going up and down in the material world since time immemorial, like what's called a yo-yo. Yo-yo. You know what a yo-yo is? Up and down, up and down, up and down. So here Krishna gives us the idea that by the process of devotional service, even though we'll have the same tendencies we've had since time immemorial, they're in our heart, and we just can't brush them off, like you clean your coat or something. No, they have to be uncovered, discovered, and pray to Krishna to eliminate them. So the first thing is hearing about Krishna, and hearing about Krishna's glories, and the process of gradually performing dutiful activities, which is karma yoga. In this age, our dutiful activities are mostly the 5 powerful processes of sadhana bhakti. Chant Hare Krišna, especially, this is the yoga dharma. We don't have to learn how to become a Shudra. Not easy to be a Shudra. We may think, oh, this word Shudra is very difficult, is very low class. But Shudras are actually quite elevated in the Veda culture, because they actually listen to people, they listen to their authorities, and they follow what they said. How many of us are very enthusiastic to follow what the authorities say? How many are that submissive? The authority says, jump, and we don't ask, how high? No, immediately we think, jump? I think I'm going to walk. How dare he tell me to jump? Who does he think he is anyhow? And Vaishya, very caring for cows, cultivating the land, living simply, performing Vedic rituals, living a exemplary household life, educating the children in spiritual and material value and moral values. Not so easy. And what to speak of a jnani, studying the Vedas, spending all our time studying. How many of us can read 8 hours a day without falling asleep for most of them? And what to speak of, that's jignasu and jnani, meditation on Brahman. I mean, that's completely beyond our capacity. In any case, these are 4 kinds of pious persons who approach Krishna. But in this age, we may be pious, we may be impious, we may be so many different things. We may be on any level of spiritual understanding. But if we chant Hare Krishna, it's like the elevator. We may be on the bottom floor, but if we get in the elevator, very quickly we go onto the top floor. In 1977, when Prabhupada was talking about how we should divide the society into varnashram, we should set up a varnashram colleges, not everyone should become a brahmana. And the devotees were asking Prabhupada, but Prabhupada, we make so many brahmanas. I mean, I became a brahmana, so-called brahmana. I got second initiation. I got initiated by letter in February 1969, and I got second initiation, I believe, in April of 1969. So it was rather quick. But Prabhupada said it's just like, yes, most of our devotees are not necessarily qualified, but because they're chanting Hare Krishna, it's just like taking the elevator up. One quickly becomes qualified if one chants Hare Krishna without offense. And then to help us chant without offense, we have our philosophy. So we can actually see things clearly. And if we see things clearly, then our ability to chant without offense is multiplied many times. Because we know how to act and be not only offensive, but be positive in our activities, in Krishna consciousness. And then, of course, we have our deity worship, because Krishna so kindly comes and gives us an opportunity to render service to him, even by taking part in the kirtan. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is here with the Panchatattva, and they're only expecting us, for the most part, to just take part in the kirtan. And that's as good as dancing in the rasa dance in Krishna's pastimes. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Radha and Krishna, and he's making his appearance, so that means Radha and Krishna are here. Along with not only Radha and Krishna, but we have Krishna's first expansion, Balaram is here, and it's Lord Nityananda. We have Advaita Acharya, the head of all these material universes. We have Gadadhar Pandit, who's the manifestation of Srimati Radharani for this age. And then we have Srivas Thakur, who is Narada Muni, who's the spiritual master, delivering all the great souls within this universe. Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj, the Pandavas. They're all here with us with the Panchatattva. And then we have the association of devotees, as Prabhupada mentions here. We may have our guru, initiating guru, but then again we have to practice what he says, his instructions, in the association of devotees. So we have our Society of ISKCON that Prabhupada founded, and there are other societies also, where there's bona fide gurus giving bona fide instructions. And then there's societies, devotees, where they can practice the loving exchanges amongst themselves, which is the essence of all the instructions. Appropriately. According to the level of the devotee, we should serve them appropriately. So these 5 powerful processes, including making the atmosphere spiritual, which from my understanding means also tell others about Krishna. That will make the atmosphere spiritual. So these 5 powerful processes, that is our duty in this age. Of course, if we're working, then part of that is to working in some occupation, that we should also donate some of that money to be utilized in spreading Krishna consciousness, as well as utilizing that same money in our household life, so that the family sits down morning and evening and chants Hare Krishna together, hears Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, worships the deities, offers the food. And that way Prabhupada said that that's perfection of household life. That household life, or any life in this world, is not 100% perfect. Nor is it 100% distressful. But as long as household life, as long as the family life can help, is conducive to our developing Krishna consciousness, as long as we can do that in family life, it should be accepted and engaged into the best of our ability to spiritualize it. So, if we do that, even when we're full of desires, full of aspirations, full of anxiety, for instance, anxiety is a great impetus for Krishna consciousness. I remember one time I was in Buffalo, New York, and probably gave a lecture there at a university. Not the university I went to, but a teacher's college in New York, in Buffalo. At the end of the lecture, some people asked questions. One of them at the end, Prabhupada was walking out, one gentleman came up to Prabhupada and said, Swamiji, because Prabhupada was Swamiji at that time, he said, my mind, what can you do for my mind? And Prabhupada said, well, the only thing I have to offer is the Hare Krishna mantra. That's all I have to offer. But that's the most effective thing to deal with our anxieties, our mental problems, is to put Krishna there instead of illusion. As a matter of fact, illusion or anxieties or whatever else, suffering, is actually just an impetus to helping us become Krishna conscious. Because as Prabhupada wrote in the Bhagavad Gita, this 13th chapter, verses 1:8 to 12, he said, without anxiety, without fear, without birth, death, old age, and disease, there is no impetus to make progress in devotional service. Therefore, preaching is essential, trying to make the atmosphere spiritual. And if we're engaged in those activities, helping the preaching, donating some of our money to the preaching, if we're making money, or making a household life also spiritual, that's also making the atmosphere spiritual. Or coming to the temple and participating in the activities, that's also coming to a spiritual atmosphere. Or going to Vrindavan, or other holy places like Mayapur. So that's our duty in this age. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said our principal duty in our relationships are very simple. Matshita, that Yarideka Tarikaha Krishna Upadesh Amara Agaya Guruhana Taridesh. If we can simply remember this instruction for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then we'll make very rapid progress in Krishna consciousness. He said that whoever we meet, that we should Yarideka, whoever we see, Yarideka Tarikaha, we should tell them Krishna Upadesh, something to help them make progress in devotional service. Something. The best example of this is Srila Prabhupada. If we read his conversations or listen to them, although he didn't always directly talk about Krishna, but Prabhupada knew how to enter into a conversation about Krishna consciousness with people, how to present Krishna consciousness to them in such a way as to try to inspire them to inquire about Krishna. So often he'd start a conversation like a famous race car driver in London. He'd talk about cars with him for some time. And then he'd gradually introduce the fact that everyone is an illusion because they think, aham car, I am the car. And then he would introduce the idea of reincarnation or karma, but he gradually caught the attention of his audience, and then he introduced the different concepts of Krishna consciousness. So similarly, whoever we see, we should tell them, try to figure out, pray to Krishna, ask Krishna, what should I tell this person? How should I act with this person to inspire them to make progress in Krishna consciousness? That's our relationship with all living entities, whether it be our people we meet on the street for book distribution, which is the most obvious thing. We try to give someone a book about Krishna. It's obviously we're presenting Krishna consciousness to them. We may tell them so many different things. One time I thought, well, let me be honest with people. This is at the fair in Texas. They have a fair every year in Dallas, Texas. There's this big statue. He was called Big Tex. And he'd talk, his conversation was all the time, listen, ladies and gentlemen, this is Big Tex talking to you all over the fair. And Big Tex is telling you that there's a group of people, the Hare Krishna is out here, and they're trying to sell your books to you, but don't listen to them. They're a cult. Beware. This is Big Tex talking to you. That was Big Tech's conversation during the fair. So, but anyhow, we would always go out to the fair and distribute books there. And one day I thought, well, let me just be honest with the people. So I went up to everyone and I was saying, "Hi, I'm a Hare Krishna. You heard big text, right? This is a book about love of God. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I'm sure you'll be interested." And after half an hour of doing that, no one was interested. And then I went up to people and said, "Hi, wow, you got a nice family there. How old are your kids?" And everyone was interested. "What kind of job you do?" "Wow, boy, are you good at it? Wow, you're..." In other words, when we related Krishna consciousness to something that people could understand, then they became interested. And they bought books. And some of them even came to the temple afterwards. So we have to appropriately preach to people. And sometimes someone may be inquisitive. I could probably remember half a dozen in 35 years or 40 years of stream books. I remember at least a half a dozen people who had actually some interest when we presented the books. Some people have some interest, and then we can tell them a little bit more, but not too much. If we think we're going to save anyone by telling them all at once about Krishna consciousness, we're mistaken. As a matter of fact, I learned in book distribution that the more you tell people, the more unlikely they are to take the book. A lot of times I meet someone, "Wow, this is really interesting, tell me about it." I tell them about it. And then at the end of my telling them about it, I said, "Thank you very much." I said, "Wouldn't you like the book?" He said, "No, you already told me about it." I already got the summary of it. I don't need the book. In any case, our expertise should be how to inspire people to become inquisitive about Krishna consciousness and try to apply it within their lives. And if they do that, then they'll get some tushanti, they'll get some satisfaction. All of us who have approached Krishna, we've learned by experience that Krishna is actually present there. And he does fulfill desires. He does take away our anxiety. He does give us a nice life. Otherwise, why are we here? I've noticed that when I chant Hare Krishna and others chant Hare Krishna, that our hair, our seekers, don't stand on end in ecstasy. And I've very rarely seen any of the devotees during japa rolling on the ground in ecstasy. But there is satisfaction. There is alleviation of anxiety. There is a feeling of comfort. Anyone who chants Hare Krishna and even tries a little bit to do it offenselessly finds great satisfaction doing it. So therefore, day after day, we can come back and chant Hare Krishna. And even this is called the first thing, the first part of pious devotees getting not only alleviation from distress, but it's tushanti, satisfaction. We're making some progress. And then all our doubts, all our confusion, all our misgivings about Krishna will gradually go away as we chant more and more with knowledge of how to chant lovingly and attentively. We don't need great scholastic achievements to chant lovingly and attentively. We just have to try and do it. But we have to convince that this is what we should try to do. Then as some scholars came to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada one time, and asked him, they said to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, "We have many questions to ask you." So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said that, "Actually, I don't have time right now, but I can talk to you in a couple of hours. Why don't you go and help the pujaris for a while?" So these were pious Indian scholars. They said, "All right, we'll go and help the pujaris." So they spent a couple of hours polishing the brass for the deities. And at the end, they came back to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and the Thakur said, "Do you have any questions?" And they said, "No. While we were polishing the brass, all our questions were answered. So therefore, we don't have to ask you any questions." So we don't, actually everything is quite simple, and if we do a little service, then we become simple, and our doubts are answered. That's called tushanti. And when one's doubts are answered, and when one's misgivings, one's material desires are fulfilled, one has no more material desires, then the result is ramanti, when we actually concentrate our minds upon Krishna with love and devotion, steadily doing it, as Krishna, as he says, Dadami Buddhi Yogam, as Krishna gives us more and more understanding about himself, more and more experience of how beautiful Krishna is, how loving and affectionate he is to the devotees, how his devotees are so devoted, and how they're in ecstasy due to that devotion and love for him. As we become convinced that this is actually what I want, is the devotion of his devotees, and to realize how loving and caring Krishna is, then the result is that one becomes ecstatic by association with Krishna and his devotees. He develops bhava, feelings towards Krishna and his devotees, and one's life becomes successful. So our process is not complicated, and it helps make us simple, so that we're no longer beset by all our complications of non-existence, all the problems we think we have, which actually we don't have. Our body is just full of problems. Our mind is just full of problems. But those are not our problems. Those are our body and mind's problems. And we just happens to be in this body and mind for now. And if we take shelter of Krishna, then these problems, some of them may go away, some of them may not go away, but they won't be our problems anymore. One time in 1969, when we were at the temple, one person came from an insane asylum. And he came and listened to the lecture, and we gave him some tapes, and he played it in the insane asylum. And he came back and told us, the people there were all crazy, but now they're happily and crazy. Listening to the tapes of the chanting Hare Krishna, they've all become very peaceful and happy, although they're still crazy. So our mind more or less may remain disturbed and crazy sometimes, but the soul will become satisfied and happy just by following this process. And eventually our minds will become clear also. Everything will be taken care of, so that we'll realize we have no problems. Our only problem is lack of Krishna. And if we get Krishna, then everything else, all our misgivings will go away. Hvala. Hvala. Any questions? Yes.
Thank you for inspiring lecture. I just wanted to ask for some advices when you said that we should try to act in such a way that others will become inquisitive about Krishna. So I wanted just to ask about some advices how to do that, how to really do that. So just for some advices.
Well, the best we can do is before we reply or tell someone something, we should think about who am I talking to? What is his interest? What does he want to know? What is my relationship with him? Am I his authority? Does he think I'm his authority? Or what is the relationship? And then act accordingly. And pray to Krishna, the super soul within our heart. Please give me the intelligence how to relate to this person to help them make progress in devotional service. And wait for Krishna to tell us something. And if he doesn't tell us anything, then we should be very cautious in what we say. If we don't know what to say, better off not to say anything, just to listen. And when Krishna gives us intelligence, then to utilize that intelligence in the conversation. Krishna says, Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam. If we ask him for advice, he'll give it to us. He'll help us remember the instructions coming from Guru, Sadhana, and Shastra. And we do the best we can. And then we learn by experience whether or not it was effective. And then we build on that experience by more experience. And if you want a direct experience, how to relate to people, what to tell them to become Krishna conscious, go on Buddha distribution for a little while. you'll learn very quickly how to relate to people in such a way as to inspire them to take a book and become Krishna conscious. One time Prabhupada was sitting there in his room, and this group of ladies came. Other people came also. This group of people came. They were from a society that believed that if you didn't speak, then you were very elevated spiritually. I think I've told this before. So Prabhupada sat in his room. They came in, and for 20 minutes, Prabhupada just sat there and didn't say anything to them. And they didn't say anything either. So after 20 minutes, they left Prabhupada's room, his darshan, and they came out and told Hari Sari Prabhu that this is the most elevated person we ever met. So that's called preaching according to time, place, and audience. Okay. Hvala Granthara Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Gaur Premanande.
Dragi bhakti, sedaj pa ste vabili na kirtan pred božanstvi. Please, now we will have a kirtan. You are all invited to join us. Jayo Pancha Tattva, Pancha Tattva, Pancha Tattva, Jayo Pancha Tattva. Kiba Jayo, Jayo Gaura Chande, Arati Koshobha. Kiba Jayo, Jayo Gaura Chande, Arati Koshobha. Dana Vedatavane, Jagamanaloba. Dakine Nitai Chan Bame Gadadhara. Nikate Advaitam Sri Vasa Chatradhara. Nikate Advaitam Sri Vasa Chatradhara. Vasa Gaurachan Ratna Simhasan. Hare Go
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Gaura Bhakta Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Rama
Vishnupada Brahmhamsa Bharadakshaya Asidhara Siddhu Shri Shriman His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Samstabhakacharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupada Brahmhamsa Bharadakshaya Asidhara Siddhu Shri Shriman His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantya Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridasa Ko Ki Jai Shri Rup Sanatan Bharadanath Shri Jeev Gopala Das Raghunath Shadguru Swami Guru Ki Jai Premjlo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Purnitananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasidi Gaura Bhaktamani Ki Jai Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kun, Radha Kun, Giri Govindam Ki Jai, Mathuram Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Navadvip Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Ayodhya Dham Ki Jai, ISKCON Ljubljana Ki Jai, Gandhavan Ki Jai, Joanvan Ki Jai, Shrimati Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Shrimati Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Shri Panchatattva Ki Jai, Shri Gauranitai Ki Jai, Gaur Brahmananda, Slava Zabrani Bhakta, Slava Zabrani Bhakta, Slava Zabrani Bhakta, Slava Shri Guru, Ishi Gaurangi. Namaste Narasimhaya Prahladananda Hiranyakashi
Hare Krišna, še par obvestil, tako da prosim, da malo počakajte. Few announcement. Današnja pojedina je sponzorirana in sicer današnjo vegetarijansko pogostitev ob nedavnem rojstvu hčerke Jamune sponzorirata Čitanje Nitai Prabhu in Bhaktin Ana. In vas ob tej priložnosti pobližno naprošajo za vaše blagoslove. Tako da bomo danes, sprav sedaj, trikrat zapeli Mahamantro za blagoslove za hčerko Jamuno. Sprav, prosim si skupaj. Hare Krišna, Hare Krišna, Krišna Krišna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krišna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Tako da naj Pančatanca blagoslovi to dušo na nadaljnji poti. Hare Krišna do Krišne. Sedaj pa imamo še eno obvestilo, to bo v angliščini.
Hare Krishna. So we'll have next week we have the second edition of the Be a Monk Challenge.
Naslednji teden bomo imeli drugi del izziva Postani menih.
For one weekend you can experience temple life as it is.
V enem vikendu lahko izkusite tempelsko življenje.
And then get some satisfaction and bliss.
In dobite neko zadovoljstvo in blaženost.
So the program is outside.
Program je izobešen zunaj.
So whoever wants to join for now is for male only, but in the future we'll see.
Whoever wants to join?
Whoever wants to join can contact me.
Aha, kdorkoli se želi pridružiti, sprejeti ta izziv, se lahko obrne na njega.
Okay.
Aha, zaenkrat je samo za moške, v prihodnosti pa upamo, da bo tudi za ženske.
Okay, thank you.
Hvala.
Potem bi se še radi zahvalili vsem tistim, ki so pomagali, da je današnji program tako lepo potekal. Najprej Mataji Tuli in Teralakši za čudovite cvetne vence in ikebane. Potem v kuhinji so danes kuhali tempelski bhakte, Lila Šuka Prabhu, Bhakta Vatsala Prabhu, Mukunda Madhava Prabhu, Tošan Krišna Prabhu, Rama Tirtha Prabhu, Ananta Prabhu. En velik harbo za njih. Rezane zelenjave pa Bhakta Jagannath, Bhakta Jan, Bhakta Sai Krišna, Mukunda Prabhu in Sadbuč Prabhu. Še en Harival. Tako da to je to. Potem imamo še Bhakti šolo, ki se začenja naslednjo nedeljo, prijave so še možne. Zunaj imate vse informacije, kdaj se začne, koliko časa traja, za koga je namenjeno, tako da kdor želi, je to v slovenščini, tako da ne bom v angliščini ponavljal. Ste vsi lepo vabljeni. Poleg tega se pa vidim, to je eni že šeriral, bomo imeli 18. do 20. oktobra festival Svetega imena, se pravi tukaj v Ljubljani, čez vikend. Z nami bo Jasvi Prabhu, Duta Prabhu, Tat Puruša Prabhu, Harinam Ruči Prabhu, Tarana Četanja Prabhu, Antaryami Krišna Prabhu, Bhakta Mazi in Braj Kishore Prabhu in njegova svetost Prahladananda Swami, tako da ste vsi vabljeni. So on 18 and 20 October we will have Holy Name Festival in Ljubljana. So we're all welcome to join us. In to mislim, da bo vse. Po tem festivalu, sprav po današnjem prasademu, ki sponzoriran, bomo imeli še program plus ob 7 za Lalita Govinda Prabhujem. Sprav 7 o'clock we will have extra bhajans with Lalita Govinda Prabhu in ste vsi vsekakor vabljeni. Zdaj še naše mlade vašnjave bi povabili, da skupaj
Sharira vidya jal, Jodendriya tahe kal, Jiva pale vishaya sagore, Tara madhya jivati, Loba moy sudurmati, Take chetakati na samsare, Shri Krishna voda doya moy, Kori bare jiva joy, Svaprasadana Dilobai, Senam Rita Pau, Radha Krishna Guna Gau, Prema tako Shri Chaitanya Nitai, Bhagavad Prasadan ki Jai.
Vabljeni na Daršan, Prasad nam bo tukaj znotraj, Hare Krišna.
Pa si pa kaj, ti misliš, da če imam nekoga, da se presrečam, to ni cool, če imaš Krišno, se lahko srečen sebi. Vse ti to želiš dobro, kaj me tako neumnosti se sprašuješ? Ej!
Hare